Good evening, everybody. Meeting again with the Organon of Medicine, the 6th edition, and we were discussing regarding the second part of the practical part of Organon, that is the drug proving. We have discussed certain things up till now. In last lecture, we have finished nearly about 4 aphorisms, and in which he tried to explain the actions of medicines for the purpose of proving. He tried to explain over there how these medicines, if given in material form, produces their primary action and hazardous effects. Many of the poisons are added in homeopathy. There are many more poisons. For example, the aconite, for example, the rustox, the naxomica, the arsenic, all varieties of poisons. But they are poisons only in their primary action, and primary action happens when you give them in larger doses. But things are rather different when you potentize them and utilize in infinite symbols. At that time, the action is absolutely different. In fact, it is not the primary action, it is a reaction of the human body, the vital force, against that stimulus, because the dose is infinite symbols. So same medicine or same ingredient, which in larger doses acts as a toxin, now acts as a curative medicine because it produces its symptomatology. Whole materia medica is based upon this, and because of which we have a thorough impulse data about these ingredients, and our materia medica is enriched with all such types of varieties of the drug substances. So we have discussed both the things in yesterday's lecture, the primary action followed by the secondary counteraction. And sometimes in homeopathy, when you use the same ingredient in homeopathy, the secondary curative action. In this, now we have to start with the 115 aphorism, where he explains one more aspect of the action of medicine. Because sometimes it happens that medicine in itself, in the primary action only, shows alternating action, the opposite reactions only of the primary thing. It is not secondary counter. So we'll start with the 115 aphorism. Okay. Among these symptoms, there occur in case of some medicines, not a few which are partially or under certain conditions, directly opposite to the other symptoms that have previously or subsequently appeared, but which are not therefore to be regarded as actual secondary action or the mere reaction of the vital force, but which only represent the alternating state of various paroxysms of the primary action. They are termed as alternating actions. So, while discussing the actions of medicines, the first variety, that is the primary action, already we have discussed. We have discussed about secondary actions. Secondary actions, we have discussed two varieties, the counter and curative. This variety is absolutely a different, which is a part and parcel of primary action, where two opposite actions, alternating actions, happens only in the primary sphere. For example, we have a primary, and in the primary sphere, when we look towards the opium, opium has two types of actions, alternate diarrhea and constipation. Sleeplessness alternating with sleepiness, exactly opposite. Certain drug substances have their actions directly opposing to each other. It is not that it will take a care, it will take a time to produce the secondary counteraction. It happens, for sometimes patient feels immediately sleepless, after some time sleepiness. Again, it goes into sleeplessness, again into sleepiness. So this variety of action sometimes with some ingredients happens, and that is what is called as an alternating action. Some drug substances are like that. And that's why while doing the proving of such drug substances, you should be cautious enough to find it out what exactly happens in the prover. And for that purpose, he has explained this one more action of the medicines, the alternating action. And this alternating action is nothing but the alternating state of its condition in the primary action only. It is not a counter action. Example is always simple. Opium is the best example. In Nux vomica, we have alternate diarrhea and constipation. That is the two opposite states only in the primary action you can get over there. So such a variety is called as an alternating action. 116. We'll read this. These are not so important for practical point of view. That's why we'll go little bit fast. These are not even important from exam point of view also. Some symptoms are produced by the medicines are more frequently, that is to say, in many individuals. Others are more rarely or in few persons. Some only in very few healthy bodies. So when we start proving, there are some symptoms which are very common to all the provers, which are called as grade 1 symptoms. Grade 1 means which are shown by many provers, and they are present with each and every individual of proving. And that's why in repertory, these symptoms are graded with a mark 3. If you open the Kent's repertory, there are 3 types of marks, 3 types of grades. Grade 1 symptom is having 3 marks, and which means that maximum number of provers have shown that specific symptom. For example, if we'll go with the aconite, and aconite states always defines a marked action over there on the human body, and that's why the fear is the prominent symptom of the aconite state. And generally, when you give aconite for proving, you are going to get this feature off and on. If you prove the belladonna, you are going to get the throbbing headache, very characteristic, very commonly with each and every prover. So certain specific symptoms are there. They are generally shown by all the provers. There are few symptoms which are proved by half of the provers, and half of them have not shown, which are graded under grade 2 and which carries 2 marks in your repertory. So in repertory, grade 1 are given in bold in Kent's repertory. When we think of Kent's repertory, grade 1 are having 3 marks. Grade 2 given in italics, marked by 2, and third number, that is grade 3, which are very rare. Very few or 1 or 2 provers have shown that specific symptom, but not with many of the provers. Those are called to be a grade 3 and which carries only a single mark and which is denoted in the Roman in your Kent's repertory. So this grading is done on the basis of proving. So this is what he explains over there in this aphorism. Some symptoms are produced by the medicines more frequently, that is to say in many individuals, that is called as grade 1. Others more rarely or in few persons, that is grade 2. And number 3, some only in very few healthy bodies, that is grade 3. So these are the grades which happens at the time of proving. Now we'll turn towards the very important topic, 117 aphorism, idiosyncrasies. You can write down over there idiosyncrasies, because it is for the exam going students, it is the topic for exam. Short note always asked on idiosyncrasy. The definition, he starts with the definition, and that definition is very important. What he says, 117. To the latter category belong the so-called idiosyncrasies, by which are meant peculiar corporeal constitutions, which, although otherwise healthy, possesses a disposition to be brought into more or less morbid state by certain things, which seems to produce no impression or no change in many other individuals. See what he is explaining. there are some peculiar corporeal constitution. What is corporeal? Corporeal means related with the body, related with the physics. Peculiar corporeal constitution. असे काही व्यक्ती असतात. There are certain individuals who have such type of body and which reacts in such a manner that no other individuals reacts to that ingredient. So, for example, a simple example will take. There are certain individuals which I have seen who reacts very violently to the nuts, ground nuts. Rest of the people, they can swallow, they can eat without any problem, without any trouble. But these specific individuals, they suffers immediately with certain trouble. So they are idiosyncratic because it is a normal food atom to which they have reacted in an exaggerated way. Idiosyncratic individuals are very sensitive individuals. Idiosyncrasies always happens in the state of health. It is not the state, disease state. There is a difference between idiosyncrasy and allergy. Idiosyncrasy happens in the state of health, allergy happens in the state of disease. That is the first important difference between the idiosyncrasy and allergy. Second important thing, idiosyncrasy is generally inherited. Allergy is generally acquired. See, these are the differences one must know because this is again a question asked in the exam. So, idiosyncrasy is generally inherited. Allergy is generally acquired, means it comes later on after the when the person becomes diseased. Third important difference is that idiosyncrasy to us is generally related with one atom specifically. Idiosyncrasy ही एकाच गोष्टी बाबतीत होती. One atom, it happens to be there. Allergy to many ingredients is possible. It is not to a particular ingredient, but many ingredients. So person is allergic to dust, person is allergic to mites, person is allergic to any food atom, any number of things. It is not with idiosyncrasy. Idiosyncrasies, it is related only with the single ingredient. So that is third important point which he explains over there, that idiosyncrasy is always related with the particular ingredient. So these are the typical corporeal constitution which reacts so fast, so exaggerately. And these particular persons who are generally very, very sensitive. And that's why these idiosyncratic individuals are the best provers because they are the provers which will going to give you these rare symptoms, that is grade 3 symptoms, which are not given by the rest of the provers, which you can get from such types of idiosyncratic individuals. So that's why it has been always said that idiosyncratic individuals are the best drug provers. Okay, there is a one footnote mentioned for this idiosyncratic individuals. We'll read that and then we'll continue with that aphorism. What he explains over there, footnote number 95, I think so. Some few persons are apt to faint from the smell of roses. He has given the examples of them who are idiosyncratic. So they all of a sudden get a fainting because of just smell of a rose. And to fall into many other morbid and sometimes dangerous states from partaking the mussels. Mussels म्हणजे ते समुद्रात मिळतात ते कालव म्हणतात त्याला. Mussels. क्रॅब्स म्हणजे क्रॅब्स काही जणांना खूप आवडते. खेकडा. Or the row of barbel from touching the leaves of some kinds of sumac. Sumac, it is a plant generally which is used in order to bring the skin clear. कातडी कमवण्यासाठी वापरलं जाणार एक विशिष्ट झाड असतं त्याला सुमॅक म्हणतात. So these are different examples which he has given about the idiosyncrasies. Idiosyncrasies are very, very irritable personalities. They are generally nervous temperament personalities, and which react. They are always on the tip of their nerves to react to the situation. So this is what which you commonly get with the idiosyncratic individuals, and such types of personalities always gets a very good proving, and they are called to be a good provers. Is there any problem with voice? It is. I don't think so. Do you have
It's
any
clear,
problem?
sir.
Hmm?
No problem, sir.
No problem.
सर थोड़ा लो है.
थोड़ा लो है. Okay.
हाँ.
Okay, just a minute. Is it clear now? Are you getting my voice?
ठीक है थोड़ा.
Okay. Okay. So we'll
Yes, sir.
continue with the idiosyncrasy. But this inability to make an impression on everyone is only apparent. For as two things are required for the production of these, as well as all other morbid alterations in the health of man, to wit, the inherent power of the influencing substance and the capability of the vital force that animates the organism to be influenced by it. The obvious derangement of the health in the so-called idiosyncrasies cannot be laid to the account of these peculiar constitutions alone, but they must also be ascribed to these things that produce them, in which must lie the power of making the same impression on all human bodies, yet in such manner that but the smaller number of healthy constitutions have a tendency to allow themselves to be brought into such obvious morbid conditions by them. So very important thing which he is explaining, the reasons behind idiosyncrasy. What he explains that there is a these are the certain peculiar constitutions who reacts too instantaneously to a certain ingredient. There are two possibilities: either a drug substance or any that material to which they are susceptible. That material is either a strong, having its action, or second, the body reacts to that thing in an exaggerated way. These are two possibilities. Out of which, in idiosyncratic individuals, the second possibility is always there, and that is the basic reason. These are oversensitive patients and persons who react to such a normal thing in the diet or in daily routine, to which body reacts in an exaggerated way. I will tell you my example. I'm idiosyncratic individual. I generally react to a what you can call that.
Panel says.
Huh?
Panel says. Panel says.
Panel seeds. Okay. I used to get often
Panel
on ovulitis. I used to get very often ovulitis. I could not understand why I'm getting ovulitis many times. When I was just small, nearly about 10 years, 15 years age, I used to get ovulitis. And one day I observed that it happens because of the after using this soap. So then I observed many times. I stopped taking it, and thereafter it stopped. And whenever by chance I used it, I take it after during some function or somewhere. I generally we miss it that we should not eat, and all of a sudden by mistake we take it. And immediately I used to suffer with the uveitis. It remains only for half an hour or 1 hour and it disappears, but it used to happen. That is very typical. No other person is suffering from that, but I used to suffer, and it used to happen that when I ingest, just within few seconds it starts. So that those things are quite common, and where there is peculiar sensitivity to such an atom, to which rest of the persons are absolutely not showing any reaction. So I myself consider to be a good prover, and it is so. I have taken whatever the medicine I used to take, I used to get immediately homeopathic aggravation of it every time. Whatever I used to take, I have shown reaction to each and every ingredient. One dose itself is sufficient to produce a reaction inside me. So this is truth, and this is confirmed truth with me only. So that these agents do actually make this impression on every healthy body as shown by this, and that when employed as remedies, they render effectual homeopathic service to all the sick persons for the morbid symptoms, similar to those they seems to be only capable of producing in so-called idiosyncratic individual. So from the idiosyncratic individual, you get many more grade 3 symptoms. So you get rare symptoms, the rare proving from the idiosyncratic individuals, and because of which those symptoms which are useful for the purpose of treating the individuals. So if you open your materia medica, there are some symptoms which are rare symptoms called as a rare. We used to say that PQRS, peculiar, queer, rare, and strange. This rare variety are the symptoms which are rare during the proving. They are rare found to be in individuals, but which are found in the proving. And those symptoms are generally proved by the idiosyncratic individuals. And these are very, very useful in treating the patients where you get such types of rare symptoms. And those you can get from such types of proving. So 117 aphorism is very specifically related with the idiosyncrasy, and we have discussed all the things. What is idiosyncrasy? Definition of idiosyncrasy. Then we have discussed the difference between what is idiosyncrasy and what is allergy. Two opposite things. Many times we make a confusion between states. Allergic states are rather different. Allergic individuals, first there is a disease because of which allergy has developed. So allergy is the result of a disease. Idiosyncrasy is not at all disease. It is right from the healthy constitution, the oversensitiveness itself present in idiosyncrasy. So one must understand these differences. And allergy you can treat completely. Idiosyncrasies you cannot, because it is inherited. But generally you can reduce the intensity of the idiosyncrasy, which I have tried my level best, and now I can eat this off very easily without causing trouble. It used to produce irritation a little bit inside the throat, but it remains only for a few minutes and it disappears by itself. So idiosyncrasy, generally you can decrease the intensity of idiosyncrasy, but allergy you can treat completely. So, for example, if a patient comes to you and who is brought with the eye swollen completely. So, what is the common condition where you get such types of swollen eye? पेशंट आणला तुमच्याकडे, त्याचा डोळा सुजलेला आहे, पूर्ण लाल झाला असा, पूर्ण सुजलेला आहे. If patient is brought to you in such condition, how will you, what is your inference? Any idea? No, conjunctivitis is different. Whole eye is swollen. It is red. It is
Bitten by someone.
The totality of symptoms are there, na, madam?
I don't
They
expect
present.
you medicine. I expect what means your thought. It is insect bite, simple.
I guess I would
It is very common is insect bite.
evaluate करायचं.
So if it is insect bite, it means that a person is reacting with allergy. and he is showing that reaction. In such types of cases, you get very commonly the APs as a remedy, but there are many more. It is not only one remedy which you can think of, but APs is the most common prescription for that. So here you have to understand basically what is idiosyncrasy and what is the allergy. Some person who used to consume any allopathic tablet and they suffers. You must know exactly what is happening. One patient was brought to me way back, very early in my practice. I was just started the practice and patient was brought and patient was like that. And he was there for more than 24 hours. He was in that position. And he was brought to me. I'm lucky enough that I have learned clinically very, very much. I immediately asked only one question to the patient. So what it may be? Any idea? It was very typical extrapyramidal reaction which has developed. I asked only one thing to the patient. Have you got vomiting and have you consumed any tablet, any medicine? He said, yes, sir. When you have? 2 days back. What medicine you have consumed? I was sure that it is a metoclopramide, perinom, the common medicine at that time. And metoclopramide used to produce the extrapyramidal reactions. It was an allergy. And it is a material disease at that time. It is not a dynamic disease. It happened because material has ingested, because of which reaction has happened. Then you have to treat with not with homeopathy. Here you have to antidote the thing because it is not a dynamic disease. The person was seen by 3-4 practitioners and no one have considered what it is, and they have said take him for the consultant or etc. And this patient was brought to me. I have just given the diazepam and immediately it settled and patient was relaxed. Within 15 minutes he slept and he was completely recovered. So you must know what exactly the disease is. Once you understand the disease, then you can treat. You should be able to find it out what exactly the problem is. So you here in this aphorism 117, we have learned about the idiosyncrasies. In 115, the alternating actions of the medicine. These are all the things which are related with the drug proving, and that's why he is explaining all those things over there. So we'll conclude today's session over here with the aphorism number 117. Tomorrow we'll continue with 118 and 119 with footnotes. Big footnotes are there to those paragraphs. On Thursday, there will be holiday. On Thursday, both the sessions will not be there. Even my session in this Organon as well as Divine School session there will be a holiday on Thursday. Instead of Thursday, I will going to take the Friday night session 9 o'clock. Definitely. But tomorrow is definitely will be there at 6 o'clock. Any queries, questions, if you have?
Sir, for this extra pyramidal reaction, if it would have been a homeopathic medicine, what could we have prescribed?
Why do give homeopathic medicine? First classification of diseases, you have to understand whether it is dynamic or adynamic. If the disease is dynamic, you treat dynamically. If it is not dynamic or dynamic, the treatment is not the dynamic. A dynamic disease should be treated with the proper antidote. That is clear. If a person who consumed the organophosphorus poisoning comes to you directly, the simple thing is that it is not a dynamic disease. You have to antidote the organophosphorus. It is like that.
Yes.
Okay.
Sir, what was the given for the extra pyramidal?
I think so at that time, because at that time I was quite confident. I think diazepam, Phenargan, something was given.
Yes, Phenargan is a proper antidote actually.
Phenargan, diazepam, something was given at that time. At that time,
yes.
It was clear in my mind because I have learned just all those things and I was practicing with my father.
Yes, thank you.
Any other query?
Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir.
Bol.
Hello.
Haan.
Yes, sir. We know that vaccines produce many side effects in children. But if there is any case of any child, he has taken many vaccines, but no side effects are seen or no symptoms are seen at present. But still, can we give any specific homeopathic medicine, sir?
First important thing is that if there is
to avoid future side effects.
basically you must understand that if whether it has produced any reaction. If it has produced, definitely you must treat him. If there is no reaction, person is remaining healthy, why to interfere with? There should not be any interference unless and until the person is deceased. That is first important thing. Generally, the immune reactions gets disturbed when you give the vaccines, and because of which the such types of allergies generally are the results of vaccinations. So children who used to remain healthy before vaccination suddenly starts getting the respiratory problems more commonly. They very often get the bronchitis, allergic rhinitis, many times asthmatic conditions, recurrent infections. These are quite common with them. And if it is so, then you have to think about antidoting that. And then you have a silicea, then you have a thuja, then you have antim tartaricum, antim crude. These are the medicines which you can use for such types of cases to treat them. But generally, you find it out what symptoms it presents. Then you can utilize very properly such remedies. Okay.
And sir, what is the time period or time span we should consider that after giving vaccine it is produced? I mean, after 1 month, after 15 days.
It varies from.
Or vaccine is taken before 6 months.
It varies. I will tomorrow's session. I will share my own case. It is not possible today. We have very less time. Tomorrow we'll start with session with this, and then we'll continue with the next aphorism. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Bye. Good night.
Thank you, sir.